Well, good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to the Daryl and Brock TV show. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Go ahead and invite somebody. We are going to be talking about tonight how to bow out gracefully. Give me a couple of seconds here. I'm going to invite some friends on here to make sure that they're on the right page. I've gotten some follow-up where people were on the wrong page. So the Daryl and Brock TV show is on this page. This is the page that actually airs on. So give me a few moments here, and I am going to see if I can get me some friends invited on here. Hold on one second. How you guys doing today? How y'all doing? Good night. The women are talking tonight. How to bow out gracefully. So glad you joined tonight. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome, welcome, welcome. For those that don't know me, my name is Daryl and Brock, and I am the host of the Daryl and Brock TV show. What's that show about? We talk about love, we talk about marriage, we talk about relationships. We talk about things that it's like, talking to your best friend, right? So you want to talk about those things that are important, things that's going to help somebody. So tonight, we're in for a treat. We're going to talk about how to bow out gracefully. What does that mean? I mean, in so many aspects of our lives, there are times and seasons in our lives where we have to decide to either bow out gracefully or continue in something, or to fight for something, or to let go of something, or to just stand for something. So I've got amazing guests that are waiting also, and we're going to be, that's what we're going to be talking about. I'm going to bring her on. Well, good evening, good evening, good evening. Don't you look beautiful?
Thank you.
I'll be sharing with them tonight about, as far as we're going to be sharing about how to bow out gracefully and the many aspects of, ways that we can choose to bow out gracefully. And then there are some times, would you agree that you just don't, I ain't bowing out. I'm not bowing. I'm not bowing on this. I'm not bowing on this one. So I think that it's just a good time to actually talk about it from the women's perspective. We had the show where the men talked about how to bow out gracefully, and I thought it was good, but I wanted them to hear from some women. Now, one of our guests is a little under attack as far as physically, so she might not be able to actually make it. But after the show, what I will do is I will go ahead and I will load up her clip, because it was very good. Did you get a chance to see the small part that was played? What did you think about the part that she actually that we actually got a chance to share in the promo?
Yeah, because she brought out some points about as far as bowing out and wanting to get the person back, or should I stay or should I go. She talked a little bit about that, and just like basically thinking about, like, why am I still here? Do I have some territory that I need to make sure that I still claim and keep my stake in? So yeah, her clip was very good, very interesting.
Okay. It really was, and that was just a small version of the whole thing. Just like yours, they just only saw like a small version. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open it up for just to give you some time, just talk about a situation or things that that you might have impacted either in your life or the sisterhood, or around people around you. Let's talk about how to bow out gracefully and how that might be impacting either now or the future. Go ahead.
Right. So thank you, first of all. And when you brought up the subject, like how to bow out gracefully, you think about, let me bow, like a ballerina, she bows gracefully.
Yeah.
So then I had to go and look up the definition bow, because I'm like, everybody doesn't know what bow means, So it says to bend the head or upper part of the body as a sign of respect, greeting, or shame. So I took it, bowing out gracefully. I thought about a situation where I'll take one on a job I was on, And I started out at the entry level, and I had a supervisor come in. I'm thinking I got this job. I got this because I had the skills. I've been doing this all this time. I know they're gonna pick me. So she came in, and they said, "Hey, we have a new supervisor." I was like, "Wait a minute," and it really took me a minute to just kind of look up and say, "Wait a minute, we do have a new supervisor." And I was like, "Okay, you can't keep doing this. You can't keep doing that. You have to back up and let the new supervisor take over so that she can do the skills that that she was hired to do." So that was the moment I think that I had to bow out gracefully, because everybody had been coming to me for everything. They was like, "Oh, Miss Deiadrea, I need this, I need that." And then with the new supervisor coming on, it's like, okay, so what am I going to do? So, then I had to come up under her leadership, but it was hard to kind of, bow, just like bow back and allow her to do, her job. The job is one way that you have to learn how to bow out gracefully. So I went also to Exodus verse 14 and 14 in the complete Jewish Bible. And it says, "Adonai will do battle for you. Just calm yourselves down." And I said, now, if I had known that back then, that I just needed to calm down, because you know what ended up happening? She was the supervisor, but as she got promoted within the company, she took me along with her.
Okay.
So just think about if I had, bowed out and backed up and allow her to do, what she does, what she got hired to do. I'm like, I wouldn't have made that, So I think about bowing gracefully during the job. Did you want me to give you another example? Because
give me another example. I got some good examples. We got to keep it real on this show.
Okay, so let me tell you about bowing out gracefully out of a relationship.
Okay.
So,
all right, talk.
So look, so in this relationship, I'm like, you doing all you can. You put in 110%. You doing all you can, and it's like you're putting forth so much of an effort to where that person doesn't want you anymore. So it's like, like, what do you do? Like, am I going to stay my ground because I feel like I've been in this long enough, and, I have rights, I have some stake in it, like we were talking about earlier. So it took, we think about, like, in the situation, the person doesn't want you, but then you're still trying to fight for it. And then they back up and they decide that, this is not what I want, or whatever the case may be. Even in a female friendship, best friend or whatever, male or female. But it took, like, learning how to really just trust God, kind of respecting yourself enough, to say, like, do I really respect myself enough to allow this to stay here, to actually back away from it? And then you have to be respectful of yourself. So that's where it took me going through that experience. And it's like, sometimes things are right there in your face. It's like right there in your face. Things for you to see, situation, circumstance, something happened, and it's right there in your face, but you still don't want to bow down. So why is that we don't want to bow out gracefully? Like, why is that? And I can tell you why, because I felt like I had a right,
Okay.
Like, I had a right. And I had worked hard for this, even in friendships and relationships, any type of relationship. But I felt like I had a right. So that's why it took me a minute to, I don't even know if I'll consider it bowing out gracefully. That's, before I knew the Lord. Before I came to know Jesus and being filled with the Holy Spirit, baby, if something happened, like, you be ready to throw down, you be ready to fight for what you feel like is yours. Ain't no bowing down. Ain't no what bow out gracefully. I don't have no grace right now. Look, I ain't got no grace right now.
Take my earrings off. Take my shoes off.
Right. But thank God for his grace and mercy. So
Well, I'm reminded of just in even in life today.
Yeah.
When you think about like just driving road rage, right? Just that.
Yeah.
That's still considered bowing out gracefully, but you don't think about it because sometimes it has a lot to do with being prideful. You know, it has a lot to do with I got a right, and I want you to know that I have a right. If you take just small things like that that trigger, you know, in the midst of like COVID-19, it is kind of like a lot of people are like on edge in relationship. They're just on edge, and it comes out on the freeway. You may not think it does, but it doesn't. And it will show up in your life. Someone, you know, get in front of you or accidentally hit you, or you, and then you all mad and you huffing and puffing, then they got something to say in their car and you don't know what they say. Next thing you know, you in your car and you saying, what the world? Y'all don't even know each other. Y'all ain't never gonna see each other again, ever. Right? So it's who gonna bow out, you know? Okay, I give you a good example before I get back on the main subject. It's kind of like, have you ever been at a stop sign or a red light, guys, and somebody's trying to go faster than the other person at a red light? I'm like, how did that person make you drive faster than you normally would?
Right.
I mean, think about it. That's like looking inward. You gotta look inward and see, right? I always used to have the kids laughing because, you know, I was the type of person, well, I still am, you know, I'm not even burn up my gas trying to beat you nowhere. I don't have to prove that my car is faster than yours and that it's not faster than yours.
Right.
But I say that to say in relationships, when it's especially when you are dating someone, when you have kind of found someone that you want to spend some time with.
Right.
And sometimes we are not willing to bow out gracious to let it go. When there's all kind of signs indicating, and since we're women, we're talking from a women's perspective. So we see that there are some things that we don't like about the individual, some things that don't make us comfortable, some things that may not make us feel lovable, but yet we remain in that relationship. And I don't care how much let's say you like him, maybe got a good job, maybe paying your bills, but whenever he get mad, he talks to you not nice, you know, talk to you all crazy and stuff like that. Sometimes you gotta bow out gracefully. I don't care if you have to pay your own bills.
Right.
Then you look up and you spend 2 or 3 years in a relationship, and that's the first part of this segment, you know, that I kind of want to key in on is staying in relationship that you know you need to bow out gracefully. I don't care if you have kids bound.
Right. Because it's about respecting yourself. It's about not losing yourself. It's about your emotions and, you know, like the hurt, you know, the hurt that you haven't healed from. You know, we carry that hurt from one relationship to another when we haven't totally healed that emotional scarring that we have in our heart. And we feel, and sometimes as women, we feel like we don't have another choice. Sometimes as women, we feel like, well, we have to put up with that. Sometimes as women, we haven't had an example of what it looks like.
Say that again.
As women, we have not had an example of what it looks like to be respected as a woman. In our full beauty of who we are. We haven't had that example. Some of us wasn't raised with parents that taught us how to be respectful young ladies, you know, and how to say set your standards and your where you say, well, I will not put up with this, or I will not tolerate this. You know, like even when you're entering into a relationship.
Why are we really taking so long? Why? What is the reason? I mean, that we don't see it when we're in it. We don't see it until we're out of it. I mean, we've been drugged and been through all the emotions. Why?
Because sometimes there's a false sense of hope that person's going to change, the situation is going to change. Sometimes you're enabling that person. Sometimes you haven't set any boundaries. So it's like, what, you know, why is it we don't see it while we're in it? Because we're blinded. Our emotions are tied into it, and we're not thinking. We're thinking, you know, with our heart, and we're not thinking with our mind. Sometimes the connection, we feel like we want that. The love that we're seeking, we think it's in that person when it's really in him.
Okay. Well, okay. What about when you have like situations where you're not even married? Not that makes it okay or better, but
Right.
he started cheating on you and you still in it. Two, three different women that you have, found him with, but yet you still with him. You don't even have a ring on your finger.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right.
So are you saying that is what?
I think it's false hope. I think it's false hope because they're hoping that, well, maybe he'll change, or maybe, he'll do better, or they feel like a woman's, their self-esteem is not there to make them feel like, oh, I am much better than this. I don't have to tolerate this. I don't have to put up with it. There's a fear of not being loved by someone that we may not have gotten when we were younger. We may have been abused by someone when we were younger, and feel like that's the only type of environment that we can be around, or the only type of individual, sometimes, it's been said that you attract what's in you. And if you're hurting, you attract someone that's hurting as well. It's been said that you attract what's in you. But at the time, we don't see it. We don't see it at the time. We're like, oh no. We're like, girl, I saw him down the street and he was in the car. He was riding. Oh, he dropped her off. No, that was his cousin. No, that was not his cousin. On whose side?
We look alike. We look just alike. They say we twins. But you're right about that. I believe that you attract who you are.
Yeah.
You attract. You're familiar with that. Because I remember I used to joke around with, my middle daughter. And I think way back then, that's when they start wearing the sagging pants and stuff like that. And I said, ain't nobody ever try to talk to me. Whether I got a ring on, they don't approach. You sag and you got your pants down there, they're not going to approach. You know what I'm saying? You attract who you are.
Yeah.
So like you said, if you are hurting, right? Or if you're wounded, you're going to attract somebody that's wounded also, right? And then you have, like some guys that they think that they're ready, and then they begin to be attracted to a strong woman, right? Now, realizing that strong woman will shine a light on any weakness, and because of the weakness on his part, then that's when that verbal abuse comes out that people don't realize. Oh, you think you know everything? Well, that is really it's a compliment that you shouldn't have to defend and say, how we should do it. I don't think I know everything. I don't. No, if you tell me I think I know everything, okay. Right? See, that's the person. That person has a problem, right? And they're trying to, put that on you, and it's not. It's their issue, really. And I think if we can catch that, if we can really and truly catch it, that would help us a lot. That would let a person know. So I think the more whole you are with yourself, the more comfortable you are with yourself, the more you're going to attract the right type of individual. And if he is trying to, because some of them, they be wolfing sheep's clothing. But I believe you'll be able to identify it enough, where you're able to like, oh no, I ain't gonna be able to do this. We ain't gonna do this, and then we don't even want to tell them, no, you're not the one, and we gotta tell them that. Why? You know why? Because we want them to tell us. So why doesn't that happen when a relationship is over? Why does the guy just say, you know what? This ain't gonna work, or we need to. No, what's the word they used to? I think we need to take some time apart. What did they used to
say? Let's take a break.
That's it. That's it. And you know what that means, right?
Right. I know that. Take a break. All right. Yeah. I want my freedom for a little bit to see if this is really what I want. Am I really ready to be committed to one person?
Yeah, but I think at the same time, it's I really want you to hang around, but I want to just go out there and say, no, if I heard the word, I want to take a break, babe, we're taking a break. You will not be breaking, you not be breaking back.
Look,
You know?
this is a break. It's broken.
Yeah, really, really. I'm serious. I'm serious.
Right.
When I was thinking about the bowing out gracefully, I was reminded of an individual that we dated, but not just very not like dating where we had a chance to go out a lot because he worked 2 jobs. But I can remember as I was thinking about it, and I didn't know nothing about no Lord. I wasn't serving God or anything like that. But I knew that this individual was not somebody that I would want to be with. Very nice. I mean, anything I asked him to do, he would do it. Hard worker. He worked 2 jobs. I mean, just anything. I mean, I could say I need a coat. It can be 3 o'clock in the morning. There's a coat. Can you get my clothes out the cleaners? But in my mind, something kept saying, "You using this." Now, intentionally, I was not intending to say, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna get what I can get out of him." You know what I'm saying? You get some money here. You know, not little money, a lot of money. But I can even remember I had to tell him, this is just not gonna work, right? And it wasn't because he wasn't nice. It was not because we have chemistry. I just didn't want a boyfriend. I just didn't want to be with one person. I just didn't.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and I think that is good if we're able to say that. That means that person, you know, have you ever looked at yourself and said, "Oh, what did I do?" You know, because you don't know. Oh, you know, he stopped calling.
Right.
You're like, okay, so what? And then you try to, you know, examine yourself and find out what happened. What, you know, well, maybe this, maybe that.
Yeah, because you're like, what did I do? Like, was I not good enough? You know,
Yeah.
did I
Was
not
you playing all along?
Yeah. But you reminded me of a relationship, a guy that I knew, and I met this guy, and it reminds me of your situation. I met this guy, and he would do, if I dropped a pen on the floor, he would pick it up for me, you know. And it got to a point to where I was like, I mean, everywhere I would go, he would make sure I'm taken care of and very respectful and everything. But it got to a point to where I felt like I was raising another child, you know. It felt like I was raising a young man, and I was like, you know what? And I had enough. I was mature enough to let him know, to say, hey, you know what? I don't think
Sorry about that. Okay. Go ahead. I didn't mean to put the comments on the screen. I was just trying to let you see the comments, but I didn't mean to put them on the screen. Hold on. Sorry about that.
So I mean, I was mature enough to let him know, to say, hey, you know what? This is not going to work. I kind of feel like I'm on another level than where you are right now. And I don't want to continue because, you know, the emotions were getting stronger and stronger, you know, and it was like to the point of like, you know, hey, we could possibly be getting married. But I'm like, I wasn't ready. And I know you weren't ready, because sometimes you make emotional decisions and that is not, you know, what you should be doing. So, but I was able to have that conversation with him. It hurt him because he thought I was his forever queen. Right. But it hurt him. But at least, you know, they say the truth hurts. That was the truth that I told him, and it really did hurt him. But we ended up being, you know, really good friends after that. And I think that people can appreciate you more when you are honest with them. Yeah. And you come to them early on. Don't let me get all attached to you and hanging out and you meet my Meemaw, Pawpaw, and everybody, you know. And you think we get married one day? Yeah. You know. So I think people appreciate it more when you're honest and tell them up front. But sometimes when you know, and another thing is, I just have to say this. Another thing is like when you break up with someone and you enter into another relationship too fast, you don't have time to heal. Yeah. You don't have time to get yourself back together, recuperate. You know, that's just like playing football or basketball. You just don't jump to another game. There's always a break in between, you know. So you have to get yourself together and recoup and you know, sometimes get before the Lord. Cry it all out. Just get it all out. Yeah. Don't eat that big old bowl of ice cream though, but you know. And give me 2 Oreo cookies too. Right. Sitting up there with cookies and cream and on Amazon shopping, you know.
Yeah.
So
I think the truth hurts, but at the moment, only at the moment. But I think in the period of time, that person is going to respect you more, and they have learned and gleaned from you more. They may be upset at the moment, but when they look back later on, they're gonna have more respect for you than 5 years down the line. Somebody see that you could have told me you want to be with me. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna respect that a little bit more. So I want to shift gears a little bit here as far as how to bow out gracefully as it pertains to relationships, as far as like girlfriend, like you got a girlfriend or something like that. And I was reminded of like little kids. When little kids go to recess, so you got the kids and they going around, they all holding hands, and we all fall down and all that, whatever. And so one little kid, she might be mad at the other, right? And so, okay, she mad at her about something. Maybe she didn't win. Maybe she pulled her arm. I don't know. But then she goes to the other little kid and say, "Don't play with her." Well, that person didn't do anything to you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It can start little when you're little. But if you're not careful, I have seen it even in adulthood, where no one did anything to you, but because they might their friend or something. I'll just give some good examples. Okay. As for, it's always good telling for yourself, ain't it? So as for me, right, we're not gonna be intimate friends if you feel like that you can tell me not to be friends with somebody, not to talk to somebody. You're not gonna tell me that. That's just not gonna happen. If it's something I need to see, believe me, I'm going to see it. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to like, if you got an issue with a young lady, you need to talk to that young lady. Right. She shouldn't be able to call another of her friends and say, "Don't talk to so and so, so and so." What is that? This is what I call bowing out gracefully. I have to bow out gracefully. If you come into any of my circles and you had a problem with somebody, and just because you have a problem with them, they did something to you, and it might have been legitimate. I don't know. I have no idea. But if you think I am going to take on your offense, I'm not doing that.
Right. That's it.
And I didn't start doing that with the Lord either.
Right.
And that's something that we've got to learn as women, how to bow out gracefully. If it's someone that you don't particularly want to be around, or you don't think that person needs to be in your circle, then that's between you and the individual. Why do you have to go back to recess and go get one of your friends, or your friends? I need to talk about that. I'm listening. I'm all ears.
Right. Because I think about I was in elementary. I always got a story to go with something, but I was in elementary and I had this little friend, and we were playing, and we call ourselves being upset with one another. And the other girls was like, "Don't play. You don't want to play with her. You don't want to play." I'm like, "For real? Why?" And no one told me that, I had started my cycle. So I'm thinking, so they're like, they didn't want to be around because my friend was hanging with me. They saw what was happening. Didn't tell me anything about my clothes. You know what I'm saying? They didn't tell me anything about my clothes, but you didn't want nobody else hanging around me. And I didn't know. I didn't know why nobody didn't want to hang around me until another girl that wasn't even in our little circle came and told me that, you have something on the back of your clothes. So then that made me kind of pull back in the shell, because I'm like, I don't have any friends anymore, and I'm like, why didn't that person want to talk with me? But not knowing, I'm thinking it's something that I've done, but it's all because of what happened, to me, physically at that time. And so that caused, like you said, it starts out young, that started like a little domino effect to that, where you learned how to talk to other women, where you learned how to be able to deal with them, and you have circles of friends that you come into, and then it's like, "Oh, I didn't know you talked to that person. She was messing around with so and so husband, and why you hanging around with that type of person? They didn't broke up a marriage," and be like, "Okay, well, I don't know what they did. Let me get to know that person. I don't need you to come with a prerequisite of what they've already done." So I mean, I took it back to elementary to bring it back up to the same subject that you're speaking of. But a lot of times, we as women, we like to be in control of our friendships. We like to be in control of our relationships. We want to be in control because of the things that we went through in the past. Because we want to be in control to where we don't have to, we could say, this is not going to happen, or, oh, I know if I'm in control of this, then I know Betty Sue can't talk to Sally over here because of that controlling spirit. So sometimes we just want to be in control. I think that's where it comes from. Want to be in control.
I know that on Dr. A's video, because I haven't played the whole video yet, but I am going to get a chance to play the whole video so that everybody can look at it. But one of the key things that she said is it's the individual. It's 99.9% of the time it's the individual.
Yep.
It's individual. And until an individual can look at themselves and be honest with themselves. Because have you ever noticed when if you've ever approached by somebody, they want to talk about, something that happened, they never say what they did. Or everything they did was great. I mean, just great. That don't happen in nobody's life.
Right.
Nothing, you know what I'm saying? So I think that if we could learn as women, say your part first. That's one of the hashtags I use for this show. Well, say your part. Get the facts.
Right.
Okay. So if you're going to go to a young lady about something, go to them because you really and truly want help, not because you want to tarnish somebody's name or something like that. Oh, I know what stories. So when I was in corporate America, and I don't know if I got any Sprint people on here yet, but I hope they either own or they'll see the replay. But I had a team. I would have a team, and you'd have to be on different supervisors' teams. So they would get to the point where you would know who was the supervisor. You would be on the team that you wanted to. So after a while, different supervisors and managers, they all upset about people trying to get on a certain supervisor's team, right? So then they start taking the supervisor's name off, but the shift was there. So you wouldn't know who you were getting. Now I showed it like that because when I wasn't a supervisor, I definitely need to know who was going to be my supervisor. Right. I might have taken a late shift. I might need to skip you. But anyway, to make a long story short, where it was that usually, and this is a great show to be open and honest.
Yeah.
So in corporate America, there is an era where a lot of women don't want a lady boss. They would rather work for a man boss. And there's nothing wrong with that, whatever your preference is. But anyway, so as I went into management as a supervisor, my teams became more and more women than men. But let me tell you what the key was. One of the keys was, in my mind, I had already identified that if these women were going to be on my team, this was not going to be a gossiping team. You take that stuff to the bathroom, take it to the break room, leave it outside or whatever. I'm going to tell it. So they gave me this name later on. They called it, Miss Brock, you just messy. And I'm like, what do you mean by that? So let me tell you what my rule was. Within our team, you can say whatever you want to say. So if I want to say something to you or about you, you're there, I could say it. But if you say something to, let's say that I'm not at work and you said something, okay, when I come back to work, you need to say whatever you said, in the team. So what I did was I used that. They would go to the bathroom, but they didn't come to work. And then you're going to say something. Well, you was in my hearing. And then so I said, well, you can tell them as soon as they come. And they would laugh. And baby, as soon as that person hit that door, they hit that floor, they come to the bed. I said, so-and-so said blah, 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 blah. And I said it right in front of them so they both could see it. Why did I do that? I was teaching and training them that if you were bold enough to say something about the individual when they were not there, we're on the same team.
Right.
We're riding together. We're riding together no matter what. But if you were bold enough to say it when they wasn't there, I need you to be bold enough to say it when they're there.
Right.
That was a lot. They already knew that you better get to spin your guts as soon as they hit that door.
Right.
I can tell. And it would be like little stuff. I mean, sometimes it could be big stuff, but it'd be like, I'll give you a small example. Like, they say you don't never come to work on Monday because you were important all weekend. Okay, that's what they said. But I didn't wait and tell them around the corner, nothing like that. As soon as they came in, they sat down and I said, let me tell you what they said. And they gonna sit there. But I said that to say, what if we really did that? Right. If someone gives the phone call and says, you know what? Miss Brock, blah, 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 and said blah, blah, blah about you and blah, 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 whatever. Hold on a minute. Let me get a three-way. Right. You can shut all of that down.
Yep. That's
because
it.
sometimes you have to bow out gracefully when you believe that a person can come to you and talk to you about an individual, not for help nor for prayer.
Right.
Don't taint their name. Don't try to damage their integrity. If you're not woman or man enough, we'll talk from the woman. If you're not woman enough to take a stand and be on the phone and say to them what you said that they said.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right. Mm-hmm.
So why we don't bow out gracefully? We don't want to be. We don't lose our friend. When if your friend come, they talk to you about somebody, blah blah blah. Are they trying to relieve pressure? They trying to relieve stress? Are they trying to help the individual? Are they really and truly trying to bring damage to their name?
Right.
How would you handle something like that?
Well, I would. Well, now that I'm saved, I would.
Hallelujah! Hallelujah! Thank you, Jesus.
No, in a situation like that, I would have to really kind of look at the person's, ask God to show me, God knows the motive and intent of everybody's heart.
Yes, he does.
What they do on the outside does not necessarily mean what's really in the heart. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But I would really pray and ask the Lord to really show me what their intention was. And if you really pray earnestly to God to ask him to show you, he will show you. But once he show you, you have to be willing to accept it, because he can show you that they had ill will against you to do that.
It's gonna show up.
Yeah, it's like, how are you going to handle that? He just showed you what they're going to do. I give an example. In corporate America, I was working. God gave me a dream that they were going to, it's 2 jobs I had, but he gave me a dream to show me that they didn't know how to let me go. They were afraid.
Wow.
Not knowing where my faith was, they were afraid to let me go, but I knew in the dream they were going to do it. So I prepared myself for it, and I went into a meeting, and one of the managers, she was ready to well, no, you need to sign this, and we're letting you go today, and that's just it. You just need to sign.
Wow.
It. But that wasn't, I was like, wow, where did that come from, And I said, well, you guys could have had a little more respect to allow me to, talk to my team before I left, or whatever the case may be. But God showed me the dream. So what if I didn't gracefully handle that? Because, I could think of times back, not me, but I've known females that will go, you let me go. When you get off work, we see how you're going to get home, because your tire's on flat. I've never done it, but I know females that have done things like that, or they walk by the car with their keys and act like they walking through the parking lot, and they put a long scar on that person's car. Mm-hmm. Security camera didn't catch it. You know what I'm saying? But that's a person that didn't bow out gracefully. But I was still, because he showed me that, like I say, if he shows it to you and they had, ill intentions, but the thing is, you hold your peace and let the Lord fight your battle. Because those people that let me go, they both are fired now. They no longer work for me.
Wow.
But that was their own doing, because you don't do wrong long. I know you heard that. We old enough. I know you heard that.
Well, if you say so, okay.
Okay, let's say if you say so. I know being 27 is very hard, isn't it? I know.
It is. I just don't heard all that stuff y'all learned about.
Yeah, but you just have to know that the Lord is gonna fix it for you.
Yeah.
You just have to know that He's gonna turn it around, because I could have reacted a totally different way.
Yeah.
Because they escorted me down the back stairs with no security. When you terminate somebody, you don't go down no back stairs. You go 4 flights of stairs.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, and I'm like, okay, so they really gonna walk me down these 4 flights of stairs with no security. And
Wow.
just, you know, like if I was a person that didn't have enough, you know, sense,
Uh-huh.
I mean, that could have been a bad experience in that staircase
Right, right.
when
Well,
you
you know what?
terminated someone.
You know, I was reminded of how in learning to bow out gracefully, that sometimes you have to allow people to try to what I call is people that may not have integrity and they want to admit you have to let them.
Yeah.
Why? Because God is doing something into your life. And He's
Yes.
saying, are you gonna let me fight this one? Or are you gonna let me?
Yes.
Right? You gonna do this in the natural, or you gonna let me handle this in the spirit? And I think when we can get to that place where we know I'm not gonna defend myself about that. I'm just not. I'm just not. I mean, I'm just not. Now, when I didn't know, now wait just a minute. People that know me before I was saved, oh, it ain't going down like that.
Yeah.
No. We're gonna deal with this right now, right? Yeah. But when God comes in, He changes all of that. Yes. And I've just seen, you know, different situations in my life where if you let God take care of it, everything that was going on in the dark is going to come to the light. Yes. And the good thing about it is when it does, you still feel your heart still hurts for the individual. Because you know what the individual said and what they did to you and how they did it and how they said things behind your back. You know that it wasn't right. You knew that they had an issue, right? But yet it's still, when things come upon their life, and I'm not talking about wanting some bad things to happen to people. I don't care what somebody does to you. You should never want somebody's help, their job, their finances, their kids. You never want somebody to get hurt or lose it. That's not what I'm talking about.
That's right.
That's not it. That's crazy stuff right there. I don't care what somebody did to you. You should never, I just want them dead.
Right.
I'm glad they lost their job. That's why they lost their job. You don't know why they lost their job. You don't want, you know, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that when different things in their lives happen, you realize that they didn't realize that there was a connection that God put together here, nothing to do with you. And because you violated that and you messed that up, that will never be again, because God is not going to allow it. But at the same time, God is going to use that person to bless you. It happens all the time. It happens all the time.
Yes, you're right.
We got to be willing. They have some good comments here. Sometimes you got to be willing to let people say what they want to say. You got to say it. You got to bow out gracefully. One of the things when Dr. A was saying was on her video is that it's reminding me of, you have to let that individual, you have to let that individual be themselves by themselves.
Right.
Because if you get into something that God is trying to fix in somebody's life and you get in that, then you all messed up too. Now you looking at somebody that God was going to connect you with, that God was going to do some things in your life, and because you went off of what somebody else said and it looked good, and maybe they got somebody else to vouch for it, but you never knew the whole truth.
Right.
Now you've done all of that, and the things that God wanted to do in that person's life to be a blessing to you, you close the door on that. Why? Based on what somebody else said. One of these times I want Dr. A to give an example of, I watched her live, how she had went through some stuff where, you know, the person was just, they wasn't not strong enough or didn't realize that they had issues in their life, and they, you know, they thought that, you know, that she had something to do, and she didn't. I saw her love them through it and walk them through it and walk them through it and walk, baby. As saved as I am today, I ain't doing. You know, God had to give her grace and mercy.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I literally watched her, literally. And then I watched God bring it to full circle and bring it back around. See, that's what God does. So when we bow out gracefully and let God do it in relationships, kind of like, you know, you met this guy and you really like him. You like everything about him, but he's just wrong for you. He's just wrong for you. And sometimes we just got to bow out gracefully and say, you know, I can't have you in my life right now.
Right.
And if God brings it back around, then that's different.
Right. And see, it's a willingness that we have to have. If you're not willing to allow God to fix it for you, or to allow God to help you bow out gracefully. I mean, it's because some of us as women, we strong-willed. We are very strong-willed. And
Very
I mean,
strong will.
yeah, and we have to be willing to allow God to come in and do what he needs to do to help us to bow out gracefully. So we got to work on that willingness as women.
That's a good one right there. I'm about to get a topic on that one. That we got to be
Yeah.
working on the willingness to yield. Just because
Yeah.
you got a right? You know, if you got a right, we got to be willing to yield. You're right about that.
Yeah. Got to be
You're
willing.
definitely right, because we don't have to. I don't have to yield.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to. I choose to yield because I want the right things in my life. And just like, you know, when nobody does it right. I'm not even gonna sit there and say that every relationship that I've ever had, whether it was male or female, that I've done it 100% right. I'm not gonna say that. But what I can say is, if at any time I identified it, you're gonna get a phone call. I promise you that. You will get a phone call from me. Now, whatever you do with that phone call after that, it's between you and them. I ain't saying nothing, but I'm going to refer them back to you. So whatever lie you want to tell after that, that's on you. But I promise you, you know, if I have intentionally or unintentionally did something or something like that, and I find out, you're going to get a phone call. And I think that has a lot to do with bowing out gracefully. It doesn't have to be a public call. You know, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be anything like that. You just have to do it. And if it's something that I need to do publicly, then I'll do it publicly. But a lot of times as women, we don't bow out gracefully and make that call. I'm sorry. I was wrong. Are we going to die?
Right. No.
Why do those words hurt us?
Right. No.
Mm-mm. I was wrong. I'm sorry. What's going on with that?
Right.
Why?
You got to, well, you got to start looking at too. Is it worth it? You know?
Wow.
Is it really worth it? You think about us as women, some of the sicknesses that we have.
Wow.
Some of the issues that go on with our body.
Go there.
You have to ask yourself, is it really worth it? You stressing out, you losing weight, you know, it's just situations in life, and you're not bowing out of some of those situations. You have to wake up in the morning, look in the mirror and say, is it worth it? Am I worth it? You know, this situation, the circumstance, this person, this relationship. I've poured myself out. I've given so much into it. And the signs are right there. You're not getting nothing back. You're not getting nothing back. What are you reaping? What are you reaping? You know, some things that we as women in relationships or circumstances, we put ourselves in it because we want to be in control.
Wow.
Sometimes we didn't put ourselves in it. Something happened to where we were put in that position or in that situation. But that doesn't mean you have to stay. You got to be willing to get up and say, look at me. I'm fearfully and wonderfully made in the Lord. What was I put here for? What was I created for? You know, like, am I really? You have to gracefully, like, just in a respectful and a dignified way as a woman, because you never know who's watching you.
You never know.
Because I was in a situation, and when I got out of it, a couple of older women, seasoned women, they came up to me and they told me, I've been watching you this whole time. I was like, you have? And they said, the way you handle yourself. She said, you know what? God had to be with you, and you showed me something. You showed me that you can stand strong no matter what. I was like, oh my gosh, she's older than I am, you know, but I didn't know that she was watching me. But had I not had the grace of God with me and really truly seeking him for his help, she would have saw some stuff and been like, oh Lord, that child need help. Like, oh Lord, somebody go rescue her. Somebody get the kid. Somebody help her. But you never know who's watching you, though. You never know. And if we're here to be a light and an example, whether we are saved or not, I mean, somebody's always watching you.
Even if you're not saved, you do have morals. You want to gain some morals.
Yeah, you have
guidelines.
Look, yeah, morals and common sense.
Yeah. But the reason that I want to use the words "how to bow out gracefully" because there was other words I could have used, but I want people to hear that. I want them to hear that because bow means yield. Because you know what I'm saying? You yield. You know what I'm saying? I'm yielding to somebody. So then it reminds you of just think about that. How do I bow out gracefully in this? I gotta bow out gracefully in this, right? And because the gracefully means that without noise, without commotion,
you
know what I'm saying? That's what that is. You know, don't just because a person bow out with a bunch of record and a bunch of noise and just mess up some stuff. But to bow out gracefully, it's you know what I'm saying. As far as women, because we're coming from how we bow out gracefully, it lets people know that women can get along. I have the most wonderful relationships in all the circles that I'm in. All the circles that I am, I can honestly say I have awesome relationships. Intimately, I've got some awesome key friends. But they knew how to be a friend.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Some people really and truly, they don't have a clue. They don't, I'm seriously. Some people's idea, and sometimes you gotta bow aggressive with who you think is your friend. Because if you're agreeing with everything I do and everything I say, or you give me a pass, you're not my friend.
Right.
Then you can't make me do anything. But you are required to tell me the truth about myself, whether I do it or not. Then we're good friends.
Right.
Because you're not gonna do everything your friend does. And your friend will do everything that if she say, well, you shouldn't have said that, you need to fix it. I ain't gonna fix it. That don't mean okay, we ain't gonna be friends no more. You just simply know that your friend has an issue there, but did you tell them about it?
Right. And you need a friend that's gonna give you that.
Child, listen. My friends, each one of them know. We have said it's a pact. If I'm saying or doing something wrong, you need to tell me.
Right.
And we have always done that. We have always told each other the truth. Whether you want to hear, you don't want to hear, it don't matter. Now you might say, I heard y'all, but I ain't doing it. But we're required to still tell the truth. Now, in relationships where you are becoming friends with somebody, and you can see that God is working on them or want to work on them, but they're not willing to be worked on. Some of those relationships can be damaging, and you do have to bow out gracefully based on the fact that the individual and the lifestyle that they live will take. It will taint your relationship until they. You know what I'm saying? So those we can't, catch everything, but I want to make sure that people do understand that some people that you connected yourself with, they don't want to change. They're not ready to change. And that how they live in their environment will taint the example of who you are. And you have to wait on them. Now, there are some people that God's working on, and He's gonna leave you right on with them. No matter what. You won't be like, child, I can't deal with her. I done told her 5 times. It's a fifth boyfriend. He doing the same old thing. No, I'm tired, Lord. I'm tired. No, you just stay with him. Just stay with him. But there are people that will come in your life, and they are not for good. And when I say that, how you have to bow out gracefully, sometimes do you realize that you don't know that there are people that are jealous of you, and they are in your circle. You don't know that. You don't have a clue. You don't know.
Right.
You don't know. And that's something that God begins to reveal to you, then you have to bow out gracefully yourself. And then allow that person to get healed because it's going to show up. Okay, I'm going to have some of y'all that got these on this thing here. Because jealousy doesn't happen immediately. Right? But as you begin to grow and you begin to evolve, maybe your friend didn't grow and evolve like you did, but it wasn't in a way that you would meant any harm, but that jealous spirit was always there. They just never knew it until you actually did evolve.
Right.
So sometimes you do have to bow out gracefully in those. And I could be wrong, but I do believe in some situations you don't have to tell a person sometimes why we're not friends anymore. When I say not friends anymore, I mean we're not gonna hang out together.
Right. And they already know. There's always that little intuition on the inside that when something's not right. I've had relationships with female friends and they've, kind of dissolved, but we kind of knew it was going to dissolve based on our activity when we're hanging together. You can kind of sense it, instead of saying, hey, you know what, this friendship is over. It's just over time. It just, disappeared. It's just over time. It's like you have different levels of friendships. You have different kinds of friends. And so, but sometimes it's that intuition. It's something on the inside that lets you know when it's over. But sometimes we override it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And it's not that you mean them harm. You don't mean them harm. It's just that where I'm going, you're not willing and you're not ready to go there.
There you go. Yeah.
That's all it means. Nothing bad. I didn't do nothing to you. You didn't do nothing to me. It's just that where I'm going, you're not ready to go. You're not ready to go there. So I think that how about gracefully, it can go so many ways. I just wanted to be able to turn to the right way where we can all look at ourselves first.
Right.
If we can look inwardly first instead of outwardly, then we're able to judge ourselves first and make the necessary adjustments, for ourselves. And then we're better able to show somebody how to bow out gracefully.
Right. And you become a better friend to the next person,
Oh yeah.
You become a better friend to another female friend or another circle of friends, or you become a better person.
But before we get ready to close, I did want to key in on one of the things that you said was about being hurt in a relationship and how we don't take time to heal and then we want to go back. Expand a little bit on that. We got a couple of minutes here. Expand on it because I think that's good.
So, just like a wound, like if you get a wound on your body anywhere, it takes time to heal. If you have an open cut, you're not going to sit up and go do something, go play in sand.
Oh, no.
Right after, because that's going to burn and that's going to hurt and it'll never heal. So if you're jumping into another relationship that you haven't healed from, you're bringing that hurt and that pain. And then that person, they're not getting the you that they need. So you're cheating that person. You're cheating yourself because you can't be who you are. You have to pray and break those soul ties.
That's
break
it.
Those emotional ties that you have. And you have to really ask the Lord to heal you. I know sometimes I thought I was healed. Okay. And I asked God, and I went through this like boohoo crying session and, laid out before the Lord, not flinging everywhere. I'm like, oh, Lord, I get up. I'm like, oh, yes, I'm ready, And then one little thing will trigger something. Oh, here I go again, back stretched out before the Lord, But that hurt, if you don't heal from that hurt, you're going to hurt that person. You're going to hurt that friendship. And sometimes we've missed out on some good friendships and some good relationships because of the hurt that look on our bag, just carrying it, So we got to be healed from that hurt.
Yeah. And I agree on that as we get ready to close, because just like if you may hear, sometimes you may have heard a young lady say, I don't do women, or I don't have a best friend, I don't want a best friend. Usually that person was hurt somewhere in their lives. They were hurt. They were wounded at some point in their lives, and they've never allowed it, like you said, it's a sore. They've never allowed it to heal. They've never allowed God to come in and do the heal. Because if you could heal yourself, you would. So that ain't it, right? So what happens is, and then they have these walls. They have all these walls, right? Where you can't appreciate another woman that may be pretty, or that may be smart, or maybe intellectual, or maybe bold, or maybe courageous, because of the wounds that you have experienced. But if we can get rid of all the wounds and the hurts, then we can see there's some good people that God has put in my life. But you don't even realize they are right there, or you can look and you can say you missed it. Right. So as we close, as far as bowing out gracefully, anything in our lives that do not bring peace, it robs you of your joy, right? And it's required of you that you may need to bow out of those situations gracefully and find out what's going on with me.
Right.
You can find out what's going on with me, not her or not him, not the job,
Right.
not the boss,
Right.
you know, what's going
Right.
on with
On
me.
with me.
We can just be still and find out what is going on with me.
Right.
It's easier for us to look at ourselves. Okay, I'm going to make the changes that I need, because then
Right.
eventually we won't have to bow out as much. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, you know, when you're walking through and you're trying to get healed, look like you got to back. Dog, Lord, how long have you on this floor? Okay, then what else you want me to do? You know, well, you're never going to stop growing. But it's been a delightful show. I am so glad that you tuned in tonight. Dr. A got a chance to come on a little bit, but she is under the weather. So I'm praying for her and stuff like that. But I do want to get a chance to bring her on so that she can really talk to that thing as far as, you know, when it's a female to female. And, you know, she said, what is this something about barking dogs? But I don't know if y'all saw that part. But I am going to put a whole clip up, you know, after this show. And it's very, very good. So what am I saying tonight? I'm saying tonight that you have to bow out gracefully sometimes. And as Dr. A said, you don't even have to make no noise.
Right.
So thank you guys so much for tonight. And we will see you next week. Thank you so much for being my guest tonight.
Thank
You have a blessed week. All right. Good night. See you guys next week.
Okay.